with the ID. So whatever the element you have in that web page, that ID, based on that ID, that element you have to access. Okay. So for example, here in the same example, I want to give the name. In the place of ID, I want to give the class. This is the class P. See here, this is the class name is P. So what is the method? Which method you have to use here? Get element by ID. In the place of get element by ID, you can use simply you can use the method get element by class name. Get element by class name. So see here, get element by class name. So see here, okay, save it. Now I have to open. See here, this is the COI. So see here, it's working. So like this. Like this way, you have to using these properties. I have to use save it. Okay. 2000 years one time 22. So based on given values, you have to find out the composite interest. So here the main thing is here you can discuss get element by ID. That is the one method. You have to access based on that ID, that element you have to access. Based on you here you have to give get element by class name. Whenever you have to give that class name, you have to retrieve the value by using this method. Okay. So see here, let us see what are the methods, and you have to use here. Simply you can use the HTML document methods. See here, this is the document dot get element by ID. So this is the method you have to using for to find the element with the ID. So whatever the ID you have here, you have to specify based on that ID. You have to access. And the second method to finding the HTML element, document dot get element by tag name. So based on the tag name, you have to specify that element you have to access here. And the third method, you have to use document dot get element by class name. So name of the class. So here you have to class equal to some name you have to give it. Based on that name, that element you have to access. So these are the three methods you have to use to finding HTML elements. And now you have to change that HTML elements. Here you have to use element dot. So whatever the element you have to consider, that element dot inner HTML. So already you have to use this property, that is changing the HTML element, inner HTML and new HTML content. Whatever the content you have, that content you have to change it by using this property. And a similar way, you want to change the value. So element dot attribute, you have to using this attribute value. You can change the value. and style we have to change. That is the property, style property. So element dot style dot property. So already mano x dot we have to use the this method x dot style dot property background equal to color and specify chestunam kada. So that's one. You have to use the changing element methods. Okay. Already mano program lo, this is the program. For example, we have to consider. So here you can use the x dot style dot background light blue. We have to specify.
Yes, sir.
So whenever you have to click on that, automatically this is the x is the that document and style dot background. This is the property we have to specify. So here this is the this one. This is the property we have to use it for changing the style of the element. So element dot style dot property. So x dot style dot background equal to, that is the name you have to specify here. Next one is these are the another methods elements you have to adding the a new element you want to add. So here you can use. So I want to use here a little here. Here. Document dot create element. So I want to use this method to create a HTML element. Tag create element. So here you can write tag hello slash, can save it. So you have to consider one what we do. Whenever you have to call this one, so you want to write onload function onload whenever you have to use. So here you can use the different function, that is the onload method. Finding the HTML elements, ID improve by tag name. Okay, like this way, you can create the by default you can create the new HTML elements by using this function. Okay, so similar way we have to changing the HTML code. For example, here we have to see the script we have to represent it. Get element by ID p1 inner HTML. We have to write the text. these all things already you have discussed here. Then form validation. This is the one of the important concept you have to discuss now. That is the form validation. So first one, how to validate a particular form. So here we have to validate the particular form. That is the, so here we have to, in JavaScript, three variables we have to use. One is the var, and second one is the let, and third one is the constant. So here we have to use the one unique variable, that is the let x equal to document dot forms. That is the name of the form you have to specify. In the my form, the name of the form, my form, you have to take the f name, where the name is the f name text you have. In the text box, that value you have to consider, and that value you have to store into the x. So if the x equal to null, name must be filled out. So return false. For example, here you have to see, you want to write the code, that is the function validate. Simply you can use this code, and I want to place it here. Function validate form, let document forms. Document get. So here you have to consider get element. Get element by ID. So I want to consider here ID P dot value we have to consider, and that value have to store it here. If the both are equal, it's null. We have to alert them name must be filled out, return false. So here you have to write here you have to use the function on focusing. You can validate the form. You can use in HTML tag. You have to call this on submit, or you can write the return validate form. So you have to consider the forms. That time you have to use the on submit button. So here you don't use any posting. That is the Ajax. So HTTP request, you could not send the data to the server, and as well as it will not be written. Get and post methods you have to use for to sending the, whenever you have to click on submit. So automatically the data, whatever the data you have in text boxes, the data you have to post it into that whenever the action you want to perform. That time you have to use this function, on submit function you have to use. But here I want to use the simple method. Next you have to use the function on submit method. So I want to use the on click. On focus out, you have to coming outside. I want to use the simply validation function here. In the purpose of you can use on focus out. So I want to use the function validate form. So you have so see here, the event is automatically we have to name must be filled out. So whenever we have to enter it here, and you have to don't any number you don't want to write here in this text box, you have to come to outside. So whenever that comes to outside, that is the on focus out. So that time automatically you have to display the some alert box. That is the name must be filled out. You have to click on OK. So whenever you have to fill the information, so no that is the required field validated not be that function would not be exist. Okay, see here like this on validated form. That is the simply you can use this validation purposes. You can use this function validate form. So this is the function you have to execute. Let x equal to document dot get element by id p dot value. If the both are x value is nothing will be entered. That is equal. So automatically the alert box want to display alert name must be filled out. Written false. So it clearly shows that here on focus out we have coming outside. So automatically this function is invoked and display that information. Okay, like this way we have to events we have to generate it and forms. Here we have to whatever the methods like key event methods or mouse event methods or focus event methods, whatever we have to consider. Those event methods mainly we have to perform two types of validations. In a web page, we have to perform the two types of validations. One is the server-side validation, and second one is the client-side validation. For example, we have to consider in the text box. In the text box, here we have to write the validate form. Whenever the focus out, focus in, on click, mouse click. So here, whatever the on mouse over, on mouse out, these type of events are we want to perform client side itself only. But whenever we have to click on submit, whatever the data you have to enter on the text boxes, those data you have to sending to the web server, and the data you have to store into the databases, and it will give the response to the client. So this is the process you can perform whenever whenever you have to performing the operations. There is the two types of operations you have to perform. One is the client side operations, and second side is the server side operations. So here web related events, that is web page related events, we have to perform at the client side itself only. The type of validation is called client side validation, and in some cases it moves to the for the validation purposes goes to the like your login page. So in the login pages, just you have to enter the username and password. So whenever you have to enter the username and password, and you have to press on click on the login button, so directly it goes to the server, and whatever the username you have and the password you have, both are you have to match. Then only you can log in into your account. So that type of validation is called server side validation. Client side validation means whenever you have to perform, open the registration form, so some of the fields are not filled. So those fields are those text box fields are must be it's required. That is required field validators you have to use. That type of validations you can do at the client side itself. That type of web pages we have to design both the client side pages, client side validation pages, and as well as server side validation process. So server side validation performed by the web server after input has sent to the server. Similar way, here we have to performed by the browser before it input sent to the web server. Web server send can process here only. That is the client side validation. So these are the two things you must know. Then only you can understand the another concept, Jqueries. So before discussing about the Jqueries, know what are the events are there, what are the methods you have to use, what are the forms, what are the cascading style sheets, and what type of events you have to use. So how to animate the events. So these all are events generally you have to represent. So see, this all HTML document object model, events and methods, documents, forms. That so once you have to check it out all this. Now, whenever you want to discuss with that web browsers, up to now, these all are web APIs. Web APIs means whenever you want to, in your web page, you want to insert the YouTube account, or you have to insert to the Facebook. Some of the web pages, whenever you have to click on username and password, you want whenever you want to register. Some pages they don't want to register separate web page, registration page. They won't be take. It will be considered from the Facebook. So already you have the Facebook account directly. Your login is automatically accepted, and you have the Gmail account. You have to give the email ID. So based on that email ID, you have to the request to be accepted, and no need to registration is processed. That type of process, that type of registrations you can do with the web APIs, application programming interfaces. That is web APIs. So mainly it will be considered. It expand the functionality of the browser and simplify complex functions. So this is the application programming interfaces of the web. So see here, let us see what is your location. These all things you have to identify by using this web APIs. For example, you are in Hyderabad. So what is the present current position of the your mobile IP? Geolocation whenever you want to know. So simply you can use these functions. Function get location for the navigation. So these are things how we can get what is the current position of food. So what is the latitude and longitude of the your position? How we can identify? These all are you are getting from these web APIs one, and that is that means Google will be Google APIs whenever you have to included that APIs you have to included to your web page. Then only you can getting the position of the latitude longitude values. Similar way, Facebook, whenever you have to implement it, so that time also you can use this is a third-party APIs. YouTube APIs, you can it allows to display the videos on a website, and it allows to display the tweets on a Twitter API, Facebook API. So like this, you want to fitting or displaying the Facebook. These are the third-party APIs you have to use whenever you have to designing the websites. So these are the web APIs you have to use in web. Up to now, here these are the related to the JavaScript. But you want to know more. For example, you want to write the JavaScript. It takes a lot of code whenever you have writing on a web browser pages. Automatically, the speed of the web browser will be decreases. So in those cases, you want to minimize the code. That time you have to use this Jquery. Jquery simply you can say that some predefined Ajax like method you have to use here. So here you have to consider Ajax mainly you have to a key role whenever you have to designing the websites. For example, you have to designing the web pages. Those web pages are working on web browsers. So any browsers you have to work. So first, whenever the event is occurred, so automatically the browser you have to connect it with the internet. So it will be create an XML HTTP request to object. You have to generate it, and this request you have to send to the server. So the request you have to send to the server, and once you have to send to the server to the request HTTP request. For example, we have to simple example. in the browser, just you have to type the www.google.com. So google.com ఎప్పుడైతే మనం వెబ్ బ్రౌజర్ లో టైప్ చేసి మీరు press enter whenever you have to press on enter, automatically it goes to the server. So whatever the IP address we have, that is the IP address means nothing but you can say that it's the name of the Google server name. Google server, whenever you have to click on that www.google.com, whenever you have to press, directly it goes to the server and it moves to the server. Then it will process the HTTP request by the Google server, and whatever the response you have, for example, you have to type the Google searching button, you have to type some information. So that information related information you have to process, and it will be sent to the create a response and send back to the browser. So here you have to sending to the internet, and at the browser you have to display the all Google related information. For example, in Google you have to type the some particular JavaScript you want to know. Just you have to at the Google search you have to type the JavaScript. So the JavaScript related keywords, so in which web servers we have that all data you have to display on screen. This all thing how it can happen, how it happens. Whenever you have to click on submit button, automatically that it will send to the HTTP request to the server, and based on that your request, the server will be processed, and that response we have to generate it and send back to the browser. Now we have to display the all JavaScript related keywords, web pages, all we have to display on screen. So this is the procedure we have to follow whenever you have to design the website. Like Ajax, you have to use mainly for this purpose. And once you have to design this Ajax, then Ajax we have to prepare request and responses we have to create. Now it goes to whenever we have to move on to Jquery, we have to consider simply we can use the Jquery. Simply it is a JavaScript library. Simply you can say that it is a JavaScript. Already, what are the JavaScript related JavaScript related queries? Already we have created those using those JavaScript queries, and now we have to implement it. So here simply you can say that Jquery is the JavaScript library. For example, programming language lo cheppalante, for example, you have to take the C programming or Java programming. Already some predefined classes are there. Using those classes, we can process. For example, you are writing in Java, or you can using Java. In Java, you can write the system.out.println, and you have that is already that method you have to use predefined. So now you have whenever you have writing within that data you have to display. Similar way you have to use in C printf statement or scanf statement. That functions are predefined. Similar way here also in the JavaScript JavaScript related JavaScripts already you have to written. Those all are you have to combine and defined as one library. That library you have to consider now. That is you have to use it in Jquery. Jquery simply you can say that is JavaScript library. Jquery greatly simplify the JavaScript. అంటే అక్కడ మనం 10 lines రాసే కోడ్ ని ఇక్కడ 1 line లో రాసాం. That is the easy way we have to write, and already that is already predefined. Now whenever you have to use that related query, automatically when that query is easily you can execute. So ఎప్పుడైతే మనం బ్రౌజర్ ఓపెన్ చేస్తున్నామో Jquery ఎప్పుడైతే మనం యూజ్ చేయడం స్టార్ట్ చేస్తామో automatically browser speed will be increases. Okay, but whenever you have to writing the JavaScript, the JavaScript code is nearly 50 lines. Automatically the browser speed will be decreases. So these type of problems you have to solve out by using the Jqueries. Okay, so for example you have to see I want to see one simple example. So here we have to use the whenever you want to write something, that time you have to use in scripting dollar document dot ready. So now I want to use the simple program. See here, I want to write a simple program. Document type HTML. HTML in the HTML tag you have to use the head tag. So here in the head tag, want to specify the title tag. Hello, Jquery. So now here we can write the script SRC. So this is already predefined scripting library. From that predefined scripting library, here I want to use the Ajax Google API, googleapis.com. From that library, we have to consider, you can take the Jquery and Jquery min.js. So in that library, you have all the scripts dollar related. Here we have to specify the dollar, and here we have to represent the within the brackets document you have to pick. Then related code and already this is the predefined library is there. From that predefined library we have to take it. Just you have to write the code. Simply I want to hiding the button. For example, here I want to write dollar document dot ready. Actually, మనం onload function అనేది మనం వాడతాం. So whatever the data you have in that web page, onload function you have to execute that function you have to execute, then only the document is ready. But already whenever you have to these queries you have to use it, already these are the predefined. So whenever you have to use this function, immediately onload document you have to execute it for the ready function whenever you have to use it. So once the document is ready, then check the button. So where the button is there, so here you have to specify. So here we have the button. So it directly goes to the button, and whenever we have to click on that button, click me, that event you have to generate it. Click function. Generally, on click and just the methods. So on click is an option. Directly you can use the click. Simply you can use this function. Automatically on click method direct click on a function run అయిపోతుంది. So ఎప్పుడైతే మనం button click చేసామో, so which function you want to execute, so that particular function you want to execute. So here I want to what type of data you want to here P. So here we have to specify the tag P. So that is the paragraph tag. So whenever the paragraph tag, simply you can hide. So we have to use that. These are already predefined function. So manaki ee jQuery use cheyadam valla Ajax Google APIs lo already JavaScript related functions anni predefined ayi untayi. ఆ predefined చేసిన functions ని మనం యూజ్ చేసుకుంటాం అంతే. That's it. అంటే మీరు ఒక 100 lines of JavaScript code రాయకుండా just within 3 lines లో మనం ఈ వర్క్ అంతా మనం we have to complete it. Hiding related all things. Okay, that is the major advantage of jQuery. So most of the applications you can use the jQuery only. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so p dot hide, simply you can this function is executed and hiding. This is the paragraph, this is the another paragraph. So where the p tag is there, those information, those p tag information you have to hide. Okay, ఇక్కడ మనం p tag యూజ్ చేసాం కాబట్టి ఎక్కడైతే paragraph tag ఉంటుందో ఆ tag ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అంతా మనకి హైడ్ అవుతుంది. Simply you can see that now. You can move it. See the simple page. jQuery. You have to see here. Whenever I want to click this one, click me. You have to click then automatically paragraph tags. What are the tags you have? That those tags are simply hide. Hide any. So
Yes, sir.
this is the paragraph and